So she must know exactly what is going on. So if I know that you wanted to kill me and now you want me back
for reasons you don't even know, had no control
so that
over.
I can be raised alongside my other siblings, yet you didn't want me in the first place, I don't think that makes sense. But hey, we'll be following up on this particular story. And as far as this custody case is, that the custody row ended up in the magistrate court, which has granted the missionaries custody until she turned 12 years. So we have 1 year to go, or rather 3 more to go in this particular story. You can get details in regard to this particular ruling and now how Justice Meloy allowed now the missionaries to formalize a full custody within 9 months. Page 2 of the Standard this morning.
All right, now let's get to the Daily Nation and look at this story in regard, the main story on the front page of the Daily Nation in regards to the loan shocker for borrowers. It is now emerging that, here they say when the deal is too good, think twice. Now, financial institutions have had the leeway to change rules or offer repayment holidays on a case-to-case basis after it has emerged that during this COVID-19 relief period, interest was still accruing on the loans that people had and those that they actually took during this period. Now, banks explained that they had been loading up interest during this 6-month period, and this means more of the clients are going to actually pay more than what they expected, or even get higher rates as opposed to what they had previous to this break that was put in place by the government. But now the central bank also announced, this came after the central bank announced its, back in March, that lenders would offer a repayment holiday on personal and business loans that were disbursed by the time COVID-19 was hitting, and there was excitement among the people. But now it is all tears because so many people are complaining that they were not told about this. Most of them were not made aware of this interest that were accruing during this time. And one, Mr. Njiru, actually says now he's facing a nightmare. He's going to have to pay 24,000 shillings more than what he was initially supposed to be paying in a loan that he took with one of the local banks just before the pandemic hit. And so many other Kenyans are complaining, and especially after 1.72 million jobs are said to have lost globally speaking. And Kenya has actually contributed to this number when it comes to the number of jobs that were lost. And now personal and household loans are the ones that are top of the list, and they're now requesting for a restructured way of paying back these debts that people have been accumulating since March of this year. Loan shocker as banks now demand this hidden interest during the COVID-19 relief.
Now, stories, still keeping up with those particular stories, I draw your attention to page 4 of the Standard this morning, where we have 2 stories that we're going to highlight: matters of health as well as matters of security. Let's start off with matters of health, where you are to blame, CS tells politicians on COVID-19 cases. This is none other than, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, who was speaking yesterday at COVID-19 media briefing at Afya House, said that politicians organized rallies without, observing set precautionary measures, what Kenyans copied. Basically saying that our leaders have set the wrong precedents in as far as, the spread of COVID-19, or rather mitigating the spread of COVID-19 is concerned, and they're squarely to blame. Now, it has cleared an indication in that particular press. He also alluded to the fact that now, indeed, is that Kenya is, has been hit by a second wave of COVID-19. With now currently indicating that we have a total of 28 patients in the ICU and about 1,000 admissions in various hospitals countrywide. At least 105 people have recorded to have recovered from this disease yesterday, among them 73 that were managed under the home-based care. Now, also questions have been raised about the safety of our learners. Remember, last week we began phased reopening of schools targeting Form 4s, Class 8 as well as Grade 8. Now, in this regard, Education Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says that the ministry is working to ensuring that there is adequate supply of water for hand washing. Safety of our children depends on behavior of their parents, and parents should play their God-given responsibility. Now, the Director of General Health, that is Patrick Amot, said the country was losing young people to the coronavirus. What is unique in the second trend of infection is that we are losing younger people, even those without underlying conditions. As we said here, citizen responsibility. It begins with you. This virus cannot move on its own. You and I are moving it. The Ministry of Health yesterday confirms that Kenya is currently being hit by the second wave. So how safe are you and the persons around you? Make sure that you're safe so that the person next to you is safe. The story this time on page 4 is that politicians are to blame because they have set the wrong precedents that Kenyans are following by holding these particular rallies where they're not taking stock of the health safety protocols that have been released by the Ministry of Health in regard to the COVID-19 pandemic. Second story also on page 4 is that it's a story that has already been captured on the front page of the Standard this morning, is that now security organs could have a say on Harambees. This is the National Intelligence Service as well as the Directorate of Criminal Investigations will now vet and process Harambee applications if a proposal tabled in Parliament sails through. Now, the body is created under Section 41 of the National Police Service, will also audit such monies to catch people stealing Harambee collections or using them for functions to launder illegally acquired funds. So we'll be waiting to see which way the bill goes. There is that one of some of the leaders responding to this particular proposal is none other than Jeremiah Kioni, who is in Ndarago MP, saying that the Harambee spirit is being misused and abused despite it being of great help in moving our country forward, and money is never audited. Halima Musheke, nominated MP, says the spirit of fundraising has been abused. Some fund raised for luxurious lifestyles which are unfair to the ones contributing. Last but not least, Peter Kuluma, Homa Bay Town MP. The bill is not forbidding fundraising as an idea through which we marshal resources to help the needy in the community. We'll be focusing on what, direction Parliament is going to take on this proposal that is contained in the Public Fundraising Appeals 2019, sponsored by the National Assembly Constitutional Implementation or Oversight Committee, that is a CIOC. And the report on the bill was tabled in Parliament last week at a time when the Senate has been cracking the whip on political gatherings, including fundraisers, or what we term as Harambees.
All right, now still keeping up with that particular conversation about the health and what the CS had to say. It's also highlighted here on the Daily Nation, where Kagwe now warns of tough new rules to stop a COVID-19 surge. And this comes as the crisis, as what has been termed by the ministry as a crisis, now saying that the virus is spreading fast in rural counties. And it seems now that Kenyans could brace themselves for new COVID-19 containment measures, which are expected to be tougher than what was. And this came yesterday as a warning from the government as we recorded an increase of 685 new cases. And according to Cabinet Secretary of Health, that is CS Kagwe, he actually issued this warning as he took issue with the growing trend of blatant disregard of health and safety protocols that are meant to curb the spread of COVID-19. And this only comes barely 3 weeks after some of these containment measures were relaxed, and more so looking at public and social gatherings. And he was also backed by CS for ICT, that is Mr. Joe Moshere, saying based on the trend that we are getting in the recent times, we think that measures need to be taken because it looks like this battle is going to get bigger and bigger by the day. Now, also what was as the CS for Health was speaking, he did note that counties like Kilifi that had registered remarkable containment measures are now back to registering high numbers of COVID positive cases, and other counties like Nakuru.
Using him. Quoted there is that we have senior leaders from Gusii. It is not fair for elected leaders from this region to go around the country abusing me and other leaders. If there's any issue, let us sort them out amicably. That is Interior Cabinet Secretary there, Fred Matiang'i, in regard to that feat that is set to be held in Kisii County. No one is, blocked, or rather is going to be locked out of attending this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations that are going to be taking place in Kisii County. KBC Channel 1 is going to be bringing you this particular, feat live, so do keep it right here.
Wow. Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Great.
What is that they're doing on our roads? I don't know.
Traffic.
I know. You saw what's happening up Panja?
Boulevard area.
Yeah, they have actually called on that road off since Friday. And I thought it was temporary. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, moving on. Here we are. And thank you so much for joining us. Apologies for being slightly late. I was held up somewhere. But here we are. Let's do this. Let's get to understand what is happening with a star this morning. BBI gender plan and our counties to pick 47 women senators. This is the proposal herein. And this is done in a bid to realize the 2/3 gender principle, where each county is to elect one man and one woman. How feasible will this be? How realistic will it be? That is the story there, given prominence by the Star this morning. And the idea is to achieve parity without passing extra burden to the taxpayer. A photo here, rather disturbing, on the front page of the Star, indicating or showing a private van that rolled after hitting a bump at Raini Center in Naivasha yesterday. 5 people unfortunately lost their lives in this Naivasha black sport that has claimed 10 lives in a week. All right? In just 7 days, that sport has claimed 10 lives. You will find that disturbing report captured in form of a picture on the front page of the Star today. Now, a lawyer given okay to manage Moi's billions, and a judge has given Zehar Banu, I can't even do the Jan Mohammed permission to manage the late President Daniel Moi's vast estate, believed to be worth billions of shillings. That story is on page 6 of the Star. And as far as the IBC is concerned, DP Ruto now says, I don't care who leads the electoral team so long as they deliver a credible result come 2022. CS Health, that is Mutahi Kagwe, warns of severe disease as ICU admissions jump. There is concern that Kenya could be going through the second wave of COVID-19. Also, he went ahead to indicate that tougher rules could be coming up in a bid to manage the curve that seems to be rising. Our positivity rate has risen from actually at some point it was around 4%, and right now we are looking at over 12.2%. The concern is all too life, and CS Mutahi Kagwe says that there could be, or the ministry in conjunction with the National Emergency Response Team could be announcing tougher measures to help contain the spread of COVID-19 in the country. That's the front page of the Star for you this Monday.
All right, now let's get back to the Daily Nation. And there's a really sad story here of how heroin is offering solace to destitute children.
What?
Imagine. And this is what is happening in the North Rift region, where there's one lady, she's called Mary Sang. For 14 years, she has devoted her life, her resources, and given up her ancestral land and house just to accommodate more than 300 orphans and destitute children in the North Rift region, saying that there is an unsung heroin addiction in Baringo County after having started her first children's home 14 years ago. She said that what she does is just trying to do God's work, and her prayer that a ray of hope and sunshine will just smile on these children as they are devastated and ravaged by the heavy addiction of heroin in the county, when it comes to just what has been termed as a coping mechanism for destitute children in this particular area, and more so her village where she comes from, in the around the outskirts of that particular area. She said that since 2003, she has been approached by many pastors in the region. People always come to her asking her how she can take up these children, more and more children. She seems to be the only one who is really concerned about this heroin addiction that is among destitute children in that area, because everyone brings these children to her and they are not trying to just go ahead and support her or help her help these children. Over 300 children she has helped over the years, and so many more that she wishes she could help, but she cannot, because even recently she just had a 17-year-old girl who just gave birth to her child, a week-old young baby, and it said that the mom is already addicted to heroin, given she was orphaned at a very young age.
Yes, heroin for young adults. Now, on in another somewhat, similar story of sorts, in where drugs, but now we're not talking about heroin as such. We're talking about, the COVID disruptions and how they have affected some people's lives. Now, I'm trying to figure out where I saw that particular article, but it talks to the fact that disruptions within the health sector during COVID. Yes, I got it. Now, it's on the big issue of the Standard this morning. And the article reads is that more women seeking abortion contraceptives during lockdown. Yes, so this is what is happening in this. Now, in a recent study by Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, Kenya and UK officers and the University of Nairobi indicates that reports higher than usual uptake of contraceptives during the COVID-19 partial lockdown. Data indicates that the most popular was short-term contraceptives, including oral pills, injectables, and among those who took protection. Now, researchers led by Duncan Shikuk, who analyzed hospital attendance and reproductive health service data from the Kenya Health Information System. Now, since the outbreak of COVID-19, it was estimated that the world will see 15.5 million additional unintended pregnancies due to the disruption of health services. Those were the statistics, global statistics. Now, here's what. This is the statistics that we have here in Kenya. In March to June last year, we had 6,872 girls aged between the age of 10 and 14 who had presented to health facilities with pregnancies, compared to 4,971 during the lockdown period. Yes, but unlike last year, when the month-to-month number of pregnancies in this group was a plateau, during the partial lockdown, it was on an incremental trajectory. Remember all that data and the statistics that we got with some regions, especially within the eastern region, recording high numbers of teenage pregnancies. Now, it shows in this particular report is that during the first 4 months of the partial lockdown, yes, 11,592 girls aged between 10 and 14 sought family planning services, slightly more than the same period last year. Ponder on that. Yes.
Hey, today's newspaper is heavy.
I know.
Are you seeing? That is 10 and 14. 11,592 girls aged between 10 and 14 during the first 4 months of the partial lockdown.
And the ages, I mean, that bracket, 10 to 14, eh?
Yes. Now, with that particular thought in mind, we take a short break. We'll be right back.
Help me, please. Francisco. He wants to kill me. That must be him. It's him. Help me, please. Help me.
What are you doing here?
I came to bring Diego back. He crossed over to my workshop.
Ramon! Ramon, a client is waiting for you.
In Love with Ramon.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1, the CAF Confederations Cup Jamboree is back with a bang. Live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1.
Farouk with a free kick. Oh, it's a beautiful goal.
Monday 19th October 2020, it will be an all-Moroccan first semi-final match pitting Ares Barkani and Hassani Agadir to be staged in Rabat.
Little flick, very well played. Oh, Traore, so unselfish, and what a brilliant goal that was.
Enjoy the extravaganza live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
The walk, the ride to town, the good time with friends, the dance, the school, the town, the TV, all the simple freedoms we enjoy in our lives. The ability to live not like a slave, but like a great human being with dignity and respect. Freedom to do business, freedom of choice, freedom to live. All these freedoms and many more because of all the brave men and women who fought tirelessly for our independence. Many were blacklisted, hunted like animals.
All who carry the mark of the Mau Mau must be hunted out,
tortured, beaten mercilessly, jailed and humiliated by having their dignity thrown to the wind. Some lost their lives. Those who survived did not give up because the cause was greater than their lives. Their goal to see every Kenyan live free from oppression by our colonizers.
We want to rule our country.
These are our real heroes, our Mashujaas. Today, we honor them by celebrating their resilience in the fight for our independence. We celebrate all men and women of the past and the present, men and women who have taken it upon themselves to ensure that the sovereignty of Kenya and the freedoms of all Kenyans are upheld. Men and women who have gone beyond their means to bring glory and positive change in our country, Kenya. This 20th of October, join KBC Channel 1 as we celebrate our heroes during this year's Mashujaa Day.
Still holding on to a journalist attacked at DP Ruto event in Meru, and Tigania West MP John Mutunga's personal assistant, that is Joseph.
Oh, it seems Sam, we can see you, but we can't hear you. You're miming, but we're gonna soon correct that. Are you doing sign language now? Do you know how to say, at least I know to say good afternoon, but this is good morning. I don't know if good morning should be up here. I don't know. But yeah, that's that. As we correct Sam's mic, I can borrow just a little bit of what is happening within the international scene. If you've been keenly following the discussions on social media, we have an uprising in the making in Nigeria. At the same time, if we cross over to the US, is that now Biden is leading Trump, but can this year's polls be trusted? That is the question. And now we've seen that Donald Trump's victory in the US presidential election 4 years ago brought in the question as never before, is that the reliability of opinion polls, can they be believed this time round? This is 15 days to go for the November 3rd election. Democrat Joe Biden is ahead of the Republican president by 9%. According to the polling averages. This is from the Real Clear Politics website. But in the United States, candidates win the White House not through the popular vote, but through the Electoral College. Yes. Now the battleground states and polled last time have been surveyed much more closely and more often. There's a 9% lead. That is Joe Biden, according to the popular opinion, rather the ratings. But will this translate to the actual votes come November 3rd? We're just 15 days away. That is what is happening in the international scene. You can get further details on stories that are making headlines across the world, with now the fact that Japan is pushing a new Japan's new PM pushes Abe's vision on SE Asia. That is Suga. He's called Minister Yoshihide Suga. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I can say Suga. That is what is happening in the international scene. You can catch up. Remember, our website is active, www.kbc.co.ke. You can find out what is happening regionally as well as internationally. So Biden is ahead by 9% in terms of the polls. Is this going to translate to the actual numbers, or rather votes, in the next 15 days? We'll be watching. Sam, are you back on?
Yes, I am.
Take it away.
I'm very sure I'm not miming anymore. Yeah. So I was taking a story on page 7 of the Star today. It's all about a journalist who was attacked at a DP Ruto event in Meru, and Tigania West MP, that is John Mutunga's personal assistant, that is Jacob Ngene, roughed up Royal Media Services scribe Malinda Faki. That story is on page 7 of the Star today, talking about, some of the issues that transpire in rallies, and also questioning how free and enabled are members of the Fourth Estate to conduct or, do their job. So that story there on page 7 of the Star this morning, I must say, it's rather unfortunate when you have to be roughed up in the course of you doing your job. I mean, it should never happen.
Especially where the DP is involved, and not just by virtue of DP being DP Ruto, but the deputy president of the country.
Yeah, those also, I mean, why would this personal assistant rough up a journalist? Why? At times you will find that it's power play.
Being a journalist for me is a risky career, is a risky affair as far as I'm concerned, and not just within the political rally, but just remember, let me take you back to during the 2007-2008 skirmishes. You remember one of our reporters who was doing her live link, from another media house, actually got hit by a rubber bullet while still doing her link. Yes, it is that.
Risky.
It's that risky. Then let me also now bring you up to speed with what was happening during the Dusit attack. We had one former very own, that is Odit, who is now currently working for BBC, moving into the melee, just forgetting that he's a journalist, trying to help, the people who were, locked up at the Dusit hotel, trying to bring them to safety. So as a journalist, I tend to think it's a noble profession, but very risky. It's my opinion.
It is.
Over to you, Jane.
Over to me.
From your end of things.
From my end of things?
Yes.
That Biden story has also been highlighted here. Can the polls really be trusted? Let's wait and see how that will play out. But let's move on to Tanzania, as now the opposition parties join what has been termed a loose coalition in a bid to unseat President Magufuli with the CCM party, Chama cha Mapinduzi. Pun intended, guys. Now, in a bid to unseat the governing Chama cha Mapinduzi party, Tanzania's two leading hope for the best but prepare for the worst.
Strendelena Gazeti.
Kabisa,
nice.
Over to you.
Page 8 of the Star today talks about ODM summoning Migori reps as party pursues dialogue over Obado ouster, and governor has asked for a chance to explain why his removal bid should be shelved. And pictured here is the Secretary General ODM, that is Edwin Sifuna, during a press briefing indicating how the situation in Migori is and what is the concern of ODM in as far as the residents of Migori are concerned. And he says that our greatest concern as a party is how service provision will continue to the people of Migori, and thus necessitating this meeting between ODM and the the ward reps to discuss, or the members of the county assembly to discuss the way forward in as far as the ouster bid is concerned. On his part, the governor, that is Okoth Obado, is asking or requesting to get a chance to explain why his removal bid should be shelved for now. That is page 8 of the Star for you this Monday.
Let me take you now to page 5 of the Standard, and we're talking about corruption and counties' top list of corrupt institutions. Now, in terms of the institutions, the Ministry of Health, the National Police Service are the most corrupt institutions. Now, talking about counties, these devolved units that have been making a lot of noise in regard to just financial, budgetary allocation, which we saw Okuri Attorney ensure that it has been dispersed to the counties. It shows that now counties happen to be the most corrupt institutions. If you may say, and top counties, let's have a list. This is according to a study by the National Crime Research Center that also cited that the Ministry of Interior, Education, Lands, National Registration Bureau, Judiciary, National Government Constitution Development Funds, that is the NGCDF, and Office of the Member of County Assembly, as well as Governor Office, as other corrupt institutions. Now, top counties, and this report targets the last 12 months. Can listen in and see if one of your counties, your county where you come from, has been named here. This also applies to Jane and Sam, who are in studio here. So we have Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, Makueni, Embu, and Machakos. Yes, these ones are the top 5. Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi, Makueni, Embu, and Machakos. Now, the bottom counties were Siaya, Wajir, Tana River, Kisii, Tharaka Nithi, Turkana, and Nyamira. Bottom 5 is at the least corrupt, but the top 5 are most corrupt. Now, according to the report, the public officers engage in corruption because of greed, low wages, lack of respect for the public office, emulating corrupt leaders, poor governance systems, and impunity. Now, the report also quoted a key informant who said that poverty, greed, and selfishness are important factors in corruption. Also, the public have developed a habit that if they do not pay something, they won't be served. Is that true? What do you think? Are we also, just creating a good environment for corruption to thrive as on an individual capacity, that you have to pay something so that you get a service that is equally your right?
All I can say is most corrupt, least corrupt, still corrupt.
And all I can say is take you through page 15 of the Star, where illegal constructions and encroachment now threaten the Diani Beach destination, and the Kenyan South Coast holiday town has recorded a growing uncontrolled development in recent times. You will find this story on page 15 of the Star, talking about issues to do with sand harvesting and illegal structures, even having a bar in a mosque. Wow. All right.
A bar in a mosque?
Bar in a mosque.
Real mosque or?
Page 15 of the Star.
Thank you, page 15 of the Star.
All right, let's come to page 2 of the Daily Nation. And there's a story of one young man. He's called Jeff Guya, the writer of the story. He says, "What sleeping hungry taught me about money and being selfless." So he starts by saying, don't be too free with your money or you will sleep hungry. And this is more so going to the young folk. Yeah?
Yeah.
So there was one night where he swore it would be the first and the last time he would ever go to bed on an empty stomach, and vowed that he would always stick to the budget no matter what, as it was one of those eye-opening experiences that he wouldn't even want to wish on his worst enemy. And look, in that particular situation, it just made him think of how those who are having it worse, those who experience this on a daily, those people who have to sleep hungry due to poverty, and remembered a friend telling him that there are 2 things that friend fears in life: God and poverty. And this helped him understand why people who are struggling with poverty go to extremes just to put a meal on the table, including being as desperate as trying to steal risking their lives stealing oil from electricity transformers just to sell them so as to be able to feed their families, and more so the innocent children who are involved in these families that actually experience these levels of poverty. And according to official data from the Kenya National Bureau of Stats, it shows that out of a total of under 5 population of 7 million children, 1.82 million or 26% suffer from chronic malnutrition because they cannot afford the 3 basic meals in a day. So this takes him back to how young people, we are just chopping money, not really thinking of the future, not really thinking of the kind of lives we want to have for our families in the future. We're just living in the now, saying that, you know, we need to rethink and we need to just start becoming more wiser when it comes to our finances. And I think it's such a valid conversation because looking at how the millennials are, we always see on social media, so many of them, and I am a millennial in that category, we are not as careful with our finances as our parents were. You know, our parents, most of them are as careful as they are because of the experiences that they went through. And because of what they went through, they made sure that we are better off than they were. But given we are comfortable, are we really trying to prepare enough to make sure that our children are as comfortable or much more comfortable? But also, are we setting them up in a way that, you know, they will not experience the hardships, some hardships of life, to understand that there ought to be a balance and you need to prepare for the future?
Food for thought. Food for thought. Now, before we take a short break at the top of the hour, 8 a.m., I want to draw your attention to the sports pages 36 all the way to, you know, the back page of the Standard this morning. It's actually fun-filled there, just talking about, you know, the Red Devils, that is Manchester United, after losing 6-1 at Old Trafford. They're saying that this is now, their season has just begun. This is according to their coach, that is Ole Gunnar. We also have a story about what happened with in the French League 2 match, where the goalkeeper there ended up with a huge bite on the cheek. We're also going to be, there's also a story that has highlighted matters of, you know, our just Champions League storylines to watch as this season continues to just unfold. Then further on, a very interesting story there on the back page of the Standard this morning. Just Pep coming out in support of none other than Sergio Aguero, after, that is the Manchester striker, was criticized for putting his arm, you know, on the shoulder of the assistant referee there, Sian Maisie Ellis, during Saturday's 1-0 win over Arsenal there. And he's quoted saying that, come on, guys. Sergio is the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Look for problems in other situations, but not this one. Now, just a bit of facts in as far as the physical contact with match officials are concerned, is that a yellow card is issued for physical contact with any match official in a non-aggressive manner, that is e.g. an inquisitive approach to grab the official's attention, while a red card is issued for physical contact with match officials in an aggressive or confrontational matter. However, you know, the English football authorities have noticed over the last 4 seasons that this particular, you know, issues of fairness and such, a bit, you know, the lines are getting a bit blurry there. He got off, but now it's drawn a lot of criticism, so you can get more details on the back page of the Standard this morning. Now, if you watch the game between those that never walk alone, that is Liverpool versus Everton over the weekend, it felt as if you were watching a rugby match because there were so many tackles. Now, apparently, Everton players have apologized over heavy tackles. But is that enough? Remember, this ended in a 2-2 draw in this particular match. You can get details further on our website at www.co.ke. But in the meantime, we take a short break. When we return, we're going to be talking about politics as well as asking that particular question: who is your Mashujaa and why? This year's feat is going to be taking place in Kisii County. Do not go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. If you randomly catch me laughing on air, please do not judge. You try to have as much a good time as you do watching us from wherever you're watching us, because I can see you, see me, see you, see me. Make sense of it. But now we want to have a quick look at the roads. Sitting in for Doreen Arange today. Kalas Monketu is not feeling well, so I'm going to try and, live up to the levels she's set when it comes to checking out the roads this morning. So let's start by having a look at what Twitter is saying, at least what you guys are saying, the different parts of Kenya you are watching us from. And I want to just have a quick look at Mathri route. Let's see. Let's get some quick updates before we get to have the actual look at the roads. This one, an option to try and just see how you can get to whatever you want to go to in the least amount of time. But let's start here. Somebody here complaining that the government saw it better to build a stadium as opposed to improving the local health clinics along Ngong Road. Story for another day. But I can see someone here saying Garden City, Thika Road, kameshikana kushikana, and that is exactly 7 minutes ago, saying that kameshikana kushikana up with around areas of Garden City. There was a child that was reported missing. She's called Lilian Wairumu Maura, 12 years old. She's said to have been reunited with her family, so we are always in for that. Now, take a look at that picture, guys. This particular picture, the captioning says, count the number of people who refuse to use a footbridge. And mind you, there is a footbridge right above them, and they refuse to use it. I mean, takes me back to another time they actually put up a picture of a footbridge with a goat on top there and people randomly crossing the highway just under the footbridge. Why do we refuse to use the footbridges? And yet they have been put there for our convenience and our safety as a people. We need to think twice about some of these things that we do to just try and even citizen responsibility. It starts with you and me. Now, this brings me to this next tweet here. It reads that this happens at Imara Daima, and a lot of traffic police just watch. There doesn't have to be a policeman or woman for one to do the right things. Kenyans need to show responsibility that they call out their leaders to every single time. And this is in regards to that usage of footbridges. We want our leaders to show some sense of responsibility. It also starts with us when it comes to our own safety on a daily basis. Mlolongo towards town ni jam tupu kabisa. That is Joseph G 39012873. That's his handle. Sijui kama ni namba ya simu, tutaangalia maneno. We also have someone else here saying, see you guys, a shift from Lolongo. It's about to get messy. So if you're around those areas and you might be looking to come from anywhere that is Izo sides Zamlolongo, you might want to just chill or wait for another link-up segment to just tell you how things will be looking. There we have the stretch between Mutindo and Donholm is a total mess. Use the main highway to avoid, just avoid the service lane completely. Pato Juketex is sending that tweet. We also have this one by Peter Kamau saying a man has just been hit on Outer Ring Road below Donholm overpass. Active emergency response is being awaited. And finally, let's look at this one. This one by, who is this? COVID Killer. COVID Killer. Saying, I like how you guys acted on the case that I reported about Total Embakasi one at Lena Kemua. It's not about dismissal of employees. It's about happy employees as a whole. This is in regards to, how COVID-19 hit so many people and how so many people were affected and how others are just trying to cushion others during this time. So now let's have a look at the roads. Let's start with what? Let's look at Langata Road before we get to Mombasa Road. Let us go to Langata Road, and I always like starting to go as far back as the Bomas of Kenya, Galleria roundabout. So there you have it, guys who are using Magadi Way at Watuangu, Kiserian, Rungata, Rungai. Bits and stretches that you will be in traffic for a bit, but it's not something that will have you there for too long. Coming from the Bomas of Kenya roundabout right there, let me just expand it a bit further. Right there towards the left of your screen. What you see on the top left is On the top left is the road that brings you to the city. And as you can see, it is looking green. Remember, green always means go. It is good. It is clear. Nothing much to report at around that area as you go past the the Langata Cemetery area. No traffic whatsoever around that point. Going down to the Langata Police Station roundabout, the Kamini roundabout right there. Nothing much to report. So if you're coming from Langata Road, areas of Karen, using Langata Road, you're going to have a good time so far. Still moving on with Langata Road up until the Langata Hospital Junction. Nothing to report there. Looking good, A-OK. Remember, we always like the color green. Green means it's good. Green means it's thriving. Green means we're looking good this morning. No traffic whatsoever. There we are at, this is the overpass around the southern bypass. Also looking good this morning, no much traffic. There's actually literally no traffic at all so far as we have been looking at Langata Road. Here we are just approaching the Carnival Junction, watu wa 1824. Hapo hivyo, no traffic whatsoever. Going down to Sunshine Secondary School, also just a breeze. As we continue on with Langata Road to the areas of Langata Primary, Western Hotel, the Wilson Airport, all the way to the T-Mall roundabout. A-OK, no traffic so far. Let's finish up with Langata Road before we get to look at Bagathi Way as an alternative. This is the stretch between T-Mall and the Madaraka roundabout. No traffic whatsoever, but of course, remember to always slow down as you get to a roundabout, okay? Usikuja umeingia roundabout tu kama mtu hapana elewa what they want. All right, then the stretch from Madaraka to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout is looking kaudo tricky. You can see Aerodome Road is already compromised at this time, so if you want to go with it, you can go with it, but you'll be there for a solid minute. But from Madaraka to Nyayo Stadium, not too bad, but it will be, you'll spend a sweet minute from the Nyayo Stadium roundabout up until the Bunyala roundabout. So that is what we have at the moment. Langata Road is looking good. If you're trying to get to town or to your place of business using Langata Road, you'll have a good time up until you get to Nyayo Stadium. And then, mabadiliko. We'll be back after some time to just have another quick look at the road. So do keep it here. Let us know how things are looking on your end using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter.
Welcome back, and in case you're just joining us, thank you so much for choosing KBC to kickstart your morning this Monday. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and it's time for Eye on Politics, even as the country prepares to mark the 11th Mashujaa Day tomorrow, which will be marked in Kisii. I am joined by Frederick Saisa right here in studio. Thank you so much, Frederick, for coming. And through Zoom, I have Hamisi Mboga and Alex Manyasi. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. That is Frederick. Karibu sana to the program. I don't know whether we have Hamisi Mboga and Alex Manyasi. They're ready on Zoom. Gentlemen, if you can hear me, good morning.
Anyway, here, don't worry.
Nice. I would like to begin with you, Alex. What will you be celebrating tomorrow?
I think this is something to celebrate about.
Nice. Hamisi, good morning. Welcome to the program. What will you be celebrating tomorrow as a Kenyan?
Good morning. I'm happy to be here and I'm happy to be celebrating tomorrow. There are quite a number of things, but I'll touch two. One is education. When we achieved independence in 1963, I was in school. And in the school, people were saying, oh, now education is free. You will get, even food will be brought at home. You know, those kind of things that were there. So we enjoyed that with a lot of expectation and we worked very hard. But there was this concept of fighting the three enemies of Kenya. And pick on literacy. Education was the key. Everybody was talking about education. You must go to school. You must work very hard. And I'm happy coming from that period when we had only one college, university college, up to having one Nairobi University College. Up to now, we have over 20 universities. That's a great step that we have come. We must celebrate. Those days, when you finish standard 4, you must go to. If you don't go to further, you go to job market. But now we can see a lot of graduates that are around, a lot of technical people that have gone to school. This we must appreciate. We are observing so many people from around the region coming to school in Kenya. This is credibility. So we really want to thank everybody who contributed, especially those Mashujaas of ours. One of the things that I'm celebrating is the concept of the philosophy of liberation. People were fighting to be liberated, to govern themselves. And we have seen it now come true. Those days when Kenyatta, Nyerere, and all were fighting for African liberation, we were also part of it in terms of, we were small, but we were hearing, we shall be free. Freedom is coming. So this alone, just to be free, is an achievement. And then the governance. We have gone all through from the time that if you talk about the government in constructive criticism, you're in trouble, to a time when you can even talk about the president, that he's not performing. And because you are right, you can still go home and have a cup of tea. That is an achievement, a big one. Liberation in terms of disease. Look at the time that we had only very few health facilities. Look at now, every county is fighting to have health facilities. This is a big, big achievement and we must celebrate. So we have a lot of things to thank ourselves for, but the challenges have been there. We have seen serious challenges, governance challenges, go to political challenges, which is part of governance. Look at economic challenges. Look at now the expansion that everybody wants to go to school. The schools are not enough. Those are challenges. Everybody wants to get that education. So development and Mashujaa, we are happy, but we still have a lot of challenges that we must overcome. And therefore the planning of the leadership must really plan for this. You, sir, you want to open so many schools. Are you opening so many further institutions? Are you opening so many jobs? All these things must be, but in a nutshell, we are very happy. I can now be able to make a comment here. From the time that I was in school, now I'm talking to the whole nation. This is an achievement to all of us. And those of us who started sports from those days, we were told that Sarafina Antao, Kipchoge Keino, those, we can see many, many more it took up. And this country is doing so well and we're proud about it.
What will you be celebrating tomorrow as a Kenyan?
Thank you. And tomorrow being a Madaraka Day, there's a lot to celebrate.
Mashujaa.
Mashujaa Day, there's a lot to celebrate. And specifically for myself, I'll be celebrating our founding fathers. These are people who stood against tribal lines, racism, and they advocated for one thing that stood out to be the common uniting factor in Kenya, that is independence. That Kenya now we can speak, we can have freedom of speech, we can move without limitations, and those were the efforts of our founding fathers. But again, there is also a reason not to celebrate because that legacy has not been moved forward. You realize that now we are going back to tribalism, an aspect that our founding fathers had really fought. And looking at our country, our leaders have not picked from where our founding fathers left, and the country is being balkanized and put along tribal lines. But going back, things like education, our development in terms of infrastructure, and also medication and healthcare, those are things we can celebrate. You see, right now you move to almost every county, you find that you have a hospital, we have good schools. The Kibaki legacy, free primary education, is something to celebrate about. And we can also look at the fact that we've had institutions, and we have institutions that were not there during the time of independence. And right now, we've really had people who fought for it. Our founding fathers valued education. They used to ferry people to outside the country to go and study, but at least now we can study locally and have good degrees. We can study locally and be professionals. So it is something we need to really put into perspective that our country has moved forward, and a lot of credit goes to our founding fathers, not successive leaders, because we failed as people who have taken from them. Yeah. We've come at a point where we've started putting the country along tribal lines. We've started dividing ourselves along our economic aspects. You hear of hustlers and dynasties. Those are the things our founding fathers did not speak about. They were united against the Mzungu. They were united against finding a common factor for Kenya. And they wanted the generation that were coming to enjoy a life and to enjoy a Kenya that deserved to them. If they were to wake up today, I think they'll not have the same morale, the same celebration smiles they had, because we've completely failed them. What they laid in place, what they had envisioned for this country is no longer being practiced. So it is us that we need to go back and pick from where they left, the spirit they had in fighting for the country, and try to move the country forward. But as per the celebration, we can do it as in remembrance of our forefathers, but not in this generation.
Nice. And you know, this Mashujaa Day, the 11th, is coming at a time when there is this conversation about BBI and what should be some of the inclusions in that document. If at all we are going to be amending the Constitution, what areas should we give priority to? And I'd like to come to you, Manyasi, on this. When you look at the BBI discourse, as the conversation continues right here in the country, what areas should be given priority in terms of guiding this conversation?
I think, as I respond to that, I want to say one or two things. Number one is that if you look at the direction that Kenya has taken today, most of these seeds were actually planted at independence. So the direction that Tanzania, for example, took and the direction that Kenya took were completely different directions. For Kenya, the founding president then focused more on looking at people making wealth and creating businesses and all in that direction. But you remember, not like you remember, I wasn't also there myself, but if you think about the way the approach then was, and that's why they disagreed with people like Sindambiro and others, because for those other people, their ideological thinking was that you needed to think about including everybody, you needed to make sure that everybody was comfortable. And so the ideological differences at independence between the founding president, Kenyatta, and others were slightly different. And that's why the differences, for example, between him and Jaramogi and others quickly escalated, and the divisions could be seen then. So what we are seeing today is just a manifestation of what was planted at independence. But having said that, there are many advantages, for example, to that kind of thinking, and I want to come to answering your question about what needs to be given priority. The advantages were for countries, and depends on how you look at it. For example, countries like China, which technically speaking are a dictatorship, have made great milestones because the in quotes, the dictatorship has ensured that people do the right thing, that people don't steal, that the government is on top of it. We have ever since independence. We have a lot of resources in Kenya. That's why sometimes there's so much stealing, but the country looks like it's still moving on. So if we were to manage our resources properly, then it will be possible, for example, for a child who is in school today to realize that working hard in school actually makes sense, because we are sliding into a situation where the people who are in school today, the children who are in school today, are beginning to imagine that it's not about hard work, that it's not about your education that gives you a better future tomorrow. So we must change that narrative if we have to create a better future for Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Changing the narrative if we are to create a better future for Kenya. Now, in the course of the hour, we'll be having a conversation with the Senator Kisii, that is Professor Sam Ongeri, in the course of this hour. And also, we shall be crossing over to our team that is already in Kisii for a media briefing that will be conducted by none other than Magu Mutindika, who is the Nyanza Regional Commissioner. You'll be briefing on the state of preparations ahead of Mashujaa Day tomorrow in Kisii. All that and much more will be coming up in the course of the hour. But for now, we're taking a break. We'll be back with more.
Say all kind of things about you.
We them on. Just shake up. Need to mushie one, done to mushie. When your booty got show me now.
Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times.
Full 180. Crazy.
Trago y ella la botella. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it.
Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you.
Choro, 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 choro. Te pago more. Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe. Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya, tekenya.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Where did he go?
Look for him.
There are many such wounds on my body, but they will slowly heal. But the sorrow that he has given me is hurting me a lot.
The walk, the ride to town, the good time with friends, the dance, the school, the town, the TV, all the simple freedoms we enjoy in our lives. The ability to live not like a slave, but like a great human being with dignity and respect. Freedom to do business, freedom of choice, freedom to live. All these freedoms and many more because of all the brave men and women who fought tirelessly for our independence. Many were blacklisted, hunted like animals.
All who carry the mark of the Mau Mau must be hunted out,
Tortured, beaten mercilessly, jailed and humiliated by having their dignity thrown to the wind. Some lost their lives. Those who survived did not give up because the cause was greater than their lives. Their goal to see every Kenyan live free from oppression by our colonizers.
We want to rule our country.
These are our real heroes, our Mashujaas. Today, we honor them by celebrating their resilience in the fight for our independence. We celebrate all men and women of the past and the present, men and women who have taken it upon themselves to ensure that the sovereignty of Kenya and the freedoms of all Kenyans are upheld. Men and women who have gone beyond their means to bring glory and positive change in our country, Kenya. This 20th of October, join KBC Channel 1 as we celebrate our heroes during this year's Mashujaa Day.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Help me, please. Francisco. He wants to kill me. That must be him. It's him. Help me, please. Help me.
What are you doing here?
I came to bring Diego back. He crossed over to my workshop.
Ramon, a client is waiting for you.
El paraíso
In love with Ramon. Tonight on KBC Channel 1. The CAF Confederations Cup Jamboree is back with a bang. Live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1.
Farouk with a free kick. Oh, it's a beautiful goal.
Monday 19th October 2020, it will be an all-Moroccan first semi-final match pitting Ares Barkane and Hassani Agadir to be staged in Rabat.
Little flick, very well played. Oh, Traore, so unselfish, and what a brilliant goal that was.
Enjoy the extravaganza live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Thank you for being a part of Good Morning Kenya this far. My name is Samuel Njoroge. We continue our discussion around the politics of the day and what exactly should be shaping the discourse moving forward, owing to the fact that tomorrow is Mashujaa Day and the country is right in the middle of a conversation around Building Bridges initiative. And I'm here with Frederick, Hamisi, as well as Alex. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the show this far. And I'd like to come to you, Frederick. When you think of BBI, or the Building Bridges initiative, what should be the priority areas to enhance this building of these bridges at the end of the day?
First, we have to look at the whole aspect of constitutional review. It is something that is acceptable worldwide that constitutions are changed, but in the Kenyan perspective, we are going to change our constitution in a political dispensation. We are not looking at it to analyze areas that are really common to the ordinary mwananchi. But if I was to give my overview, I would look at the aspect of devolution. I would want the constitution to address devolution, especially the funds being allocated to our counties. We've all witnessed a good or rather recommendable development in the rural areas as a result of the counties. So I would advise that we look at the aspect of increasing allocation, funds allocation to the counties, maybe not even 35 that the BBI was proposing, but somewhere around 45. Because what do we want to develop? If we want to remain with the monies in the capital city, yet most of our Kenyan population lives in the rural area, and then we need to give the counties cash. Those developments are supposed to be realized in the counties. The big hospitals, education, sports facilities are supposed to be in the mashinani.
Yeah.
There is where we find people. Then we have the aspect of corruption. Corruption is a big problem in this country. If we have to address it conclusively, then we need to put it in our constitution that anyone who is involved in corruption, a serious step is taken. Not that we are investigating, and then after a short while we hear a bailout, then the case goes for 10 years. We need to give timelines. That if you're involved in corruption, maybe the case is heard on daily basis or continuous basis, maybe for a month, and a judgment is given.
But they say capacity is lacking.
You know, it is a political creation. We have capacity, but we can put aside a court to deal with corruption matters. And the judges, they will completely be listening to corruption issues. But because the politicians are the most corrupt people in this country, and we've kind of given the obligation to now fight the same corruption they're involved in, they come and corrupt the whole process. They understaff our judiciary, they buy our judges, and no process of corruption goes ahead. But another aspect I would want the constitution to look into is who presents herself for election finds a good playing ground where the rules are same, where money is not an aspect to convince the electorate. You see, when we reduce our ladies or gender parity to nominations, then we confine people into their thinking. You know, when you are nominated, in most cases, you don't have a free will. You don't have a free opinion. So you are nominated, yes, but look at the will in which you are brought into the leadership. You are brought in to sing the song of a person who nominated you.
Yeah.
But you are not brought in to give your impartial opinion about the people you are representing. So we need to not rely on nomination in order to bring in the two-third gender rule. All we need is to have laws to remove money from our politics and let people compete based on opinion and ideology.
And what do we finally do about IEBC and the need for them to to not only conduct but also deliver a credible poll. Reforms should be instituted by the year 2022. Pundits argue there is a bit of laxity in as far as that is concerned. What should be done?
Our country is suffering and our institutions are suffering because we made them political. IBC is one of the best institutions that has turned to be political. It was thought that IBC should be apolitical, but you realize it is politicians who decide who is to be made the chairman, who is to be made a member of the commission, the member of that commission. And the same politicians want to remote control the IBC people. They want them to decide or to give them a predetermined decision on who wins elections and who loses. And initially it was thought that IBC would be independent. It was thought that IBC will not have any political alienation or any political alignment that will bring the country into post-election violence. But looking at 2017 and 2013, you realize IBC are tools for politicians to manipulate who they want to elect. In order to achieve what we need to achieve for IBC, we need to have a very independent team. And the suggestion that you need to have political parties nominate people into IBC, it could be nice because it will bring contrary opinions in IBC. You'll not be able to buy all of them. But again, you look at it and you realize we'll be making IBC political. All we need to do is strengthen IBC, strengthen our institutions so that they can have an independent decisions, so that they can make decisions that are not political. They can only be there to monitor the election, to be the referee. But the current IBC, as presently constituted, first, it lacks capacity. The people brought to IBC are so weak. We bring in people we can control. We bring in people who can easily support a political group and follow and raise that group dependent on the idea of their person being the president or their person racing to be the MP or any other elective position. Mm-hmm. So going forward, I would want us to bring in people like activists, maybe. People who don't agree with the government, people who don't agree with the politics. They are there only to referee the elections and to do things in accordance with the law.
And you know, it is within the president's best interest that he leaves the country united. He's said this over and over again, that what he wants to be remembered for is that president who united the country. How best can he achieve this?
When you hear the president speak, you read his lips and you realize whatever he's saying is not what he means. Because if you want to leave the country united, you will not continue tolerating politicians balkanizing the country, moving and dividing Kenyans along economic standards, tribalism, and the rest. You would be advocating for a leadership that would encompass everyone into your government. But the president brings aside one group and leaves the other group isolated. We see like the president and his deputy are not working together. If the two cannot work together, then how is he going to unite the country? He's telling us he's going to unite the country by working with the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes, it is true. The two control a big chunk of the electorate in Kenya. But let us bring everyone on board. Let us halt the early politics that is balkanizing the country. We've seen, we are 2 years to our election. But if someone comes to Kenya, you might think that Kenya is United States, who are just a few weeks or months to their election. We are behaving as though we are having election this year or somewhere next year. But you see, we have a whole 2 years. So uniting this country will take a lot in terms of, especially nominating people to the leadership positions. Include all the regions, include all the tribes. Do not go for the elites. The recent list that the president nominated, 90% of it are elites, from the big families or the politicians, top politicians in this country, and you cannot unite the country by doing so. Mm-hmm. The president should actually mean whatever he's saying. He should say, I want to unite the country, I want to live a united Kenya, and he should do that. We should not let him, we should not allow him to continue speaking and doing the contrary of what he's speaking.
Hmm. Tomorrow being Mashujaa Day, of course, there will be various messages of that will be coming forth from Kisii. And I don't know, in your opinion, Frederick, what you will be looking out for in terms of the speech by the president. What are the things you feel should be given priority tomorrow?
If the president is to address the real issues about Kenya, he needs to speak about corruption. He needs to speak about the early politics. You also need to speak about the unemployment in Kenya. All these years after our independence, our youth are still suffering. We are still receiving wheelbarrows and mikokotenis as empowerment. When people have really moved and technology is taking shape, it is a shame, and we need to address that. The president needs to fashion his speech in giving a promise to Kenya and hope for the future. And not just hope, but a practical hope. He should not give a political hope, because political hope is where you are told we'll create 5 million jobs in the next 1 year, which is not practical. Let the president come, give measures and how to improve agriculture, industrialization. Those are the things that will improve, will eradicate unemployment in Kenya. Let him speak about our education. We should not just have people graduating. What is the transition process? What is the transition strategy? Once I graduate from college, once I graduate from university, what is my next level? It is only the government that can promise. Let the president speak about overtaxation, especially to people who are looking into being entrepreneurs. People are being overtaxed. Starting a business in Kenya is almost impossible. We are told to be entrepreneurs, but look, it is impossible. You have to apply for licenses, you have to pay for tax, and there's some other middle people that even if you have to import something, then you have to involve a lot of people. The president should go direct and address those things. He should address the leadership of this country, especially politics that are coming and dividing us based on regions, tribes, and our financial capabilities. But again, unfortunately, I doubt that will be the case. Tomorrow is going to be about politics. It is going to be about wale ambao wanapinga miradi zangu, wale ambao our scheme mambo ya rise. It will be all about politics, but nothing to do with the development and the future of the country.
Now, tomorrow, thank you so much, Frederick, for that. Now, tomorrow, all eyes will be on Kisii County as it hosts the 11th Mashujaa Day, which will be marked in Kisii. And as we had told you earlier, we will be having a conversation with the Senator for Kisii County. That is Professor Sam Ongeri, who's joining us live. Thank you so much, Professor, for your time. And probably you can start by letting us know the state of preparations ahead of tomorrow's event.
Well, first of all, let me take the earliest opportunity to thank His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta for graciously accepting that the Mashujaa Day should be held in Kisii. We are very excited about this event because it ushers in a very historical moment. As you realize, most of our parents and our great men did participate during the independence celebrations and liberation of this country. In fact, to an extent that some of them joined the Mau Mau movement with a sole view of liberating this nation to be where it is today. And therefore, for Mashujaa Day to be in Kisii in itself is a reminder of the realities of issues, a historical moment that we went through during that period of time.
Right.
And therefore, we invite everybody to come and celebrate with us and celebrate the Mashujaas not only of Kisii but of Kenya as a nation, because we are a nation because all tribes came together to be one unity with one unity of purpose in order to create a favorable climate for this nation to thrive.
Right. And as a leader in this country, Professor, what will you be celebrating tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I'll be celebrating the heroes that who mentored me to be able to enter into politics. And there are many of them. And the first one will be, of course, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. As a student and as a young man, I was properly mentored to an extent that in 1952, I was hardly getting into Form 1.
Are still very much alive. Also, as we continue observing the fact that a second wave could be hitting the country, that is of COVID-19. So we'll be getting to give you that press briefing as and when we have it. Professor, thank you so much for being with us this far. And maybe in as far as the presidential address is concerned, what are you looking forward to? What should the president's speech address tomorrow?
Well, one of the most important things that I expect the president in his speech that it will come out very loud and clear is the unity of purpose for this nation. Because we cannot afford to work at cross purposes. We all one indivisible country. We don't have two countries. We only have one country and one head of state. So I like that message to come out if he feels, so that Kenyans can feel that they are part and a parcel of the struggle that we went through in order to put the Kenyan people together. The second message, of course, is the topical message which we now see, the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, which is again ravaging this country, that people seem to have thrown all cautions overboard. And I think it's important, particularly myself as a medic, that we should be able to observe strictly the health protocol that has been spelled out. If we don't do so, then we have a disaster in our hand, and I think we need to be very careful. So I expect the president, of course, to make Kenyans to be current with the current situations and be able to clearly elaborate what measures, additional measures may be taken in order to stem off this second wave. The third element that I expect the president to be able to address is the plight of farmers, particularly the tea farmers, the coffee farmers, and the banana farmers, and other farmers within this region that would like to see their marketing, warehousing product, like the bananas and the other things that we are discussing quite a number of times, being the speech, if he wills. And then, of course, I would like him to address the issue of infrastructure. We want to commend the president and his team for ensuring that the infrastructure is one such measure that be able to create a favorable economic climate that will help another level. And I believe the president has done quite much, and he's still yet to do much, and we want to support him fully in his the four elements of his agenda as flagged out as his projects.
Right.
That we need to be able to support him so that he can be able to achieve that objective. And I expect, of course, the president, because a very favorable mood of a shake, that he will address the issue of BBI and the way forward.
Right, and you talk about the BBI, Professor, and maybe in your thoughts, what should be guiding discourse around BBI?
One of the most fundamental issues that we have always argued about is the question of devolving resources to the county level. And I get very surprised when I see people opposing the BBI, and yet one of the most cardinal principal recommendations in the BBI is the devolving of
we will be getting back to the professor in just a short while, as soon as we're able to address a few hitches here and there. And that is Professor Sam Ongeri. He is the Senator Kisii County, talking about the state of preparations on the ground, what he expects tomorrow from the presidential speech. He also outlines but what exactly should be guiding discourse around the BBI. These are topical issues happening right here in the country, and we will be at a position to make sure that that event is something that you consume in earnest. Every punchline, every soundbite that will be coming forth from Kisii tomorrow, KBC Channel 1 got you covered in as far as that is concerned. I'm still with Frederick Hamisimboga as well as Alex Munyasi, and I'd like to come to you, Frederick, very briefly. Maybe you've been in a position to hear what the Senator has said. In terms of tomorrow's event, what do you make of it so far?
I've noticed something very important when the Senator speaks about elevation of agriculture. He spoke and so elaborate about the president mentioning something to do with the banana farmers, the coffee farmers, tea farmers, and that is something actually we all agree with. We have a country where we've neglected our agriculture. Yet we remember the heydays of the President Moi. He used to say ukulima ndo uti wa mgongo wa taifa. He used even to plant trees during such days. That is very important for the senator to mention, and I hope the president can pick from that and not only address them, but address them with the urge to also implement them. You see, we have an habit in this country where somebody just mentions some things to excite the public, to excite those people who are following and these followers. But when you look at the implementation, then it becomes such an Herculean task. So the Senate has spoken elaborately about agriculture, and then he has spoken something about devolution, which I had previously talked about. We need to increase our funds to the counties, and that is something the senator should also advocate at the parliament level. He has the platform to address it at the Senate, and he should bring in more. They should bring in motions and also fight and advocate for that, because it's something we need. The Senate has gone short of mentioning something to do with corruption and tribalism. Those are aspects he also needs to use his platform and his connection to tell the president to also address them, because these are things that are affecting our country economic-wise, socially, and there are things that are balkanizing our country. So the senator is so much elaborate, but again, I noted something that I want to say it's funny. The senator says when during those days of President Kenyatta, he was in Form 1. And I'm seated here, we are seated here, still expecting the same people not to be the one transiting the country to the next level. Come on, Senator, you need to give to the young lads. You've already served this country, you've given your best. It is time to live for the youth who are told vijana ni viongozi wa kesho. I think today is our tomorrow.
Frederick, right?
Sorry?
The wisdom that comes with age is also necessary. We cannot just do away with it. But you just ponder on that point. Even as we take a break, I will be back with Professor Sam Ongeri, as well as the analyst that we're having right here in studio. Tomorrow is Mashujaa Day. Who's your Shujaa and why? At KBC Channel 1, let us know. We take a break. We'll be right back.
Say all kind of things about you.
We them on, just shake up, need to mushia one, done to mushia. When your booty got show me now.
Baby, one time, bossy baby, give me 2 times.
Beautiful 180, crazy.
Trago y ella la botella. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it.
Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you.
Choro, 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 choro. Get the pago, get the party more, get the pago.
Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe.
Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya, tekenya.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Where did he go?
Look for him.
There are many such wounds on my body, but they will slowly heal. But the sorrow that he has given me is hurting me a lot.
The walk, the ride to town, the good time with friends, the dance, the school, the town, the TV, all the simple freedoms we enjoy in our lives. The ability to live not like a slave, but like a great human being with dignity and respect. Freedom to do business, freedom of choice, freedom to live. All these freedoms and many more because of all the brave men and women who fought tirelessly for our independence. Many were blacklisted, hunted like animals.
All who carry the mark of the Mau Mau must be hunted out,
Tortured, beaten mercilessly, jailed and humiliated by having their dignity thrown to the wind. Some lost their lives. Those who survived did not give up because the cause was greater than their lives. Their goal to see every Kenyan live free from oppression by our colonizers.
We want to rule our country.
These are our real heroes, our Mashujaas. Today, we honor them by celebrating their resilience in the fight for our independence. We celebrate all
Professor, good morning and welcome back. I would like you to kindly give us your final word in as far as tomorrow's event is concerned and what we can expect from Kisii tomorrow.
Yes?
Right, give us your final word, Senator, kindly, in a minute. All right, we will be getting back to the Senator in just a short while, but right now, let's take you to a press briefing that is being given by the Nyanza Regional Commissioner on the preparations ahead of tomorrow's event in Kisii.
Nation's economic resilience, even as we remain vigilant against the disease and grow the economy as guided by this year's Mashujaa Day theme, Inchi yangu, wajibu wangu, mimi ni shujaa, my country, my duty, I am a hero. Ladies and gentlemen, as we take stock of this year's National Mashujaa Day celebrations, it is important to reflect on the challenges that went and still goes against our heroes and heroines' aspirations, taking into account the themes, emphasis on our obligations to secure the nations as present-day heroes. Among us, the challenges to guard against is political violence. Currently, political temperatures continue to rise as we approach the 5th general election in our great nation. But let me assure you that the government shall do everything possible to prevent any form of violence as we approach the general elections. Nyanza is among the regions that usually experience violence during electioneering periods, but I am glad our leaders are this time round keen on ensuring that peace prevails as they embrace one another in the spirit of nationhood and in pursuit of national unity. This was the dream of our forefathers who gave their lives to gain us freedom from our brutal colonizers. Let us live the dream. It is my appeal to all of you, my countrymen, to maintain the prevailing peace throughout the year and even coming moments of electioneering, as this reflects on the vision of our nation founders in their struggle for independence. Further, we gear towards celebrating this auspicious day. Let me warn the people of Nyanza and beyond that cases of stock theft along the Kisumu-Nandi and the Kisumu-Kericho boundaries will not be entertained. In extension, the government continues to closely monitor the cattle rustling incidences along the Migori-Narok border in Ambonda to recover all illegal firearms that are usually used in the cattle thefts, and in order to ensure that peace prevails and the people coexist harmoniously in this conspiratory region. other illegal activities, and which obscure our nation's founders' dream, which we all must fight to bring to an end, include stock theft along Nyamira Bomet, Narok Bomet, Kisii Narok boundaries by criminal gangs, against which there is sustained government crackdown to end the crime and the culprits punished. The boundary areas have consequently experienced relative calm following joint Nyanza Rift Valley Regional Security Committee meetings since the last year. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to point out that the region suffers cultivation of illicit brews. There has been continuous crackdown in all the counties, but the illegal entry of Ugandan brews into the region adds to the headache. But let me confirm that this is also being addressed. I caution that unpatriotic government officers abetting this vice will soon be identified and action taken against them in accordance with the law. The government will continue to monitor the trend to ensure complete eradication of the brews, either smuggled into the country or brewed locally. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, this region's economic ministry remains fishing, crop farming, with the regional administrative and economic headquarters in Kisumu City, having large-scale businesses, small and medium industries. Let me point out that the expansion of Kisumu Airport to international status has further increased the level of economic activities of the region, thus creating jobs to the youth, which is a plus to our government's achievement. In bettering Kenyans' welfare in line with our freedom fighters' aspirations, there has been significant expansion of businesses activities, with several investors venturing into hotel and hospitality industries, supermarkets, and various forms of entertainment. Other major urban centers within the region, we have the Kisii where we are today, we have Migori, Homa Bay, Kendu Bay, Bondo, and Siaya, just to name a few. All these as a result of the expansion of the port and the revitalization of the Kisumu port, which is a Vision 2030 flagship project. The rehabilitation of the port is almost complete, and due to the fact that His Excellency the President may go there after the Mashujaa Day, clearly indicates the seriousness the government has in this particular activity. The revitalization works are vigorously ongoing, which a related market complex called Uhuru Business Park, an initiative of Excellency the President, having relocated from the Kenya Railways in the first almost 10 years. All this will further boost the economic activities in the region. Still is a job creation and venture to our youth. We have the East African breweries, upgrading, and many other activities within the region. Let me say that all these activities, all these investors are geared towards improving the welfare of the Nyanza region people. I also take this opportunity to welcome you to Kisii County, the land of Matoke and Soapstone, whose residents are largely the Abagusi community. We have scenic hills with large vegetations, tree cover, and most notable, feature of Gusii. In the afternoon, we have showers, and these are responsible for the vibrant economic activities. The Kisii County enjoys favorable climatic conditions that favor agriculture, a sector that employs almost 80% of the country's population. It is mainly practiced in small scale. Matoke is the staple food alongside millet and cassava. Ugali served with sisaga, spider plant, and managu. The county exports matoke and its products within and outside the country. Arabica coffee, also grown in Kisii, is among the best in the world, and mainly Seme and Kisumu West. Others include Ugenya and some part of Nyantike. I call upon all the residents of the region to reverse the current trend whereby the region continues to be a net importer from the neighboring counties of Western and Rift Valley. We need to improve on varieties and also make sure that we use modern farming methods and techniques so that our farmers can benefit from them. Finally, members of the Fourth Estate, as earlier reported this year, Mashujaa Day arrangements are complete, and we are ready to host visitors with hotel accommodation and security guaranteed. In this connection, traffic control measures have been put in place to ensure order and smooth flow of vehicles and people as follows. We have various routes. We have marked the various routes within the town, within the Kisii town. There is the road Kisumu Oyugis Kisii Road. Those people who will be using that road, they will have to drop people at Nyabera and in Naranjambiri primary schools. Then there are people who will be coming from Nairobi through Kiroka Kisii. They are supposed to drop the people at ATC Kisii University. Then we have Migori Road. The drop area will be Nyanza Primary School and SDA College. We have Kisii Krigoris Kisii Road. They are expected to drop the people at the Kisii University. We have Nyamera Kisii Road. They are supposed to drop their people or their passengers at the Jogo Primary School, and if there will be an excess, they are supposed to take them to ATC. Then, in all the dropping off areas, we have deployed enough security personnel in order to make sure that to guard against vandalism and other unwanted behavior. We welcome all visitors to our region, and those unable to travel here, we urge you to proudly celebrate our Heroes Day wherever you are, in the light of inchi yangu, jukumu langu, mimi ni shujaa. Asanteni sana.
Nchi yangu, wajibu wangu, mimi ni shujaa. That will be the theme for the 11th Mashujaa Day celebrations that will be marked in Kisii tomorrow. And we just heard from the Regional Commissioner Nyanza on the state of preparations, what should be expected in as far as the time the gates will be open, how many people will be accommodated, the nature of protocol that has been put in place. Remember, these are still COVID-19 times, and this is a story that we shall be interacting with in the course of our bulletins right here at KBC Channel 1 to just get more of what will be happening in Kisii, courtesy of our team that is already on the ground. I'd like to get final comments from my analysts right here in studio. I'm still here with Frederick and Hamisi, as well as Manyasi. And I'd like to come to you, Alex, in terms of your final word, what you expect tomorrow from the presidential address as the country marks Mashujaa Day.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel. My expectation will be that the president will be probably making the second last address before he finally retires from office. And so the speech that I expect from the president today will be largely focused on what he's going to do in the next slightly less than 2 years. He needs to inspire hope. He needs to let Kenyans know what he's going to do different. I expect the president will address the issue of putting the country back on track. I will also expect that the president will address how the economy is going to be turned around post-COVID, and even how we're going to manage the economy in the new normal. I say that because globally today, the economies are doing badly because of the COVID pandemic. But as a country, I think we have over-focused on other issues that are not related to putting food on the table of Kenyans. So I will expect that he addresses that. And lastly, but not least, this country is going to expect drought next year. A lot of Kenyans are not speaking about that, but the experts have already warned that there will be drought next year. And so the whole aspect of food security, which is one of the pillars of the president, is going to be grossly undermined by that. And being his last term, his last year, next year, it's going to be important that he addresses how he's going to manage the fact that we'll have a bad economy, we'll have the country, Kenyans, lacking food. And at that time, politics will be so hot by then. And so the expectation is that next year is going to be a complicated year, and therefore how he manages that is going to be of importance. And therefore, in my view, lastly, he might not even want to focus on delivery of the big four, but focus on delivering a peaceful country, and also delivering a country where he will have stabilized the economy, where Kenyans will have the basic needs instead of having to think about complicated things.
All right, thank you so much. Alex, coming to you. Hamisi, your final word in as far as this discussion is concerned. What are your expectations from the presidential speech tomorrow?
Thank you, Sammy. Having come all this way from 1963, and with all the challenges that we have seen, and with the prospects of BBI coming, I expect the president to address the 9 points, because people are talking about this. But if he can expound on the 9 points: ethnicity, lack of national ethos, inclusivity, because people are really scared about inclusivity. But I want to focus on devolution. My friends have already touched on it. It's so important because devolution provides the leadership at the local level with power to address their issues. Divisive elections have been violent in this country. How can we use these 9 points of the BBI to address that one? Security, corruption, but more so shared prosperity. How are we going to have shared prosperity? And then the responsibility of each one of us. If he can start, I know the BBI report is coming, but if he can start touching on those issues from his point of view, then we read the BBI report and then we make because I think these can unlock quite a lot of issues that we have had. If you look at the ethnicity, divided, people are fighting for inclusivity, devolution is an issue. So I think we are on the right track, but let him set the tone tomorrow. I would really be happy to go and expound on this because the president has touched on them, and the report would be expounding on this. Does the report have more than these 9 points? If so, what are these other issues? Because we hear some people are talking about governance structures which are not connected in these 9 points. So we are looking forward to a new dawn of Mashujaa, remembering all those men and women who fought, but also we are looking at new dawn of new Mashujaa who will put this country into the right path for everybody to be happy and inclusivity.
All right, thank you so much for that, Hamisi. Over to you, Frederick, your final word in as far as this discussion is concerned.
Thank you very much. Mine is to expect the president to give a ameliorating speech in terms of giving hope to the country. especially in the environment of our politics. He needs to promise a serene environment going forward, that we need to stop the politics of division. He needs to speak about unemployment. People are so much unemployed in this country, especially post-COVID, where jobs were lost, and there are so many investments that have stagnated. I expect the president to speak about them and address on how they are going to revive back the economy, people to regain back their employment and lives to continue. On the political stage, I expect the president to address the divisive politics in the country, especially the ones dividing us along our economic status. I expect him to be so much firm in denying.
I hope our producer has heard and he doesn't have a change of mind in regard to that issue. We also want to enjoy day. Please don't change your mind. We begged.
Absolutely. That is Regina. I think she's doing what I was doing an hour ago, you know, miming on air. So we're just adjusting her mic. She'll be with us shortly. Jane?
Wagwan.
What's up?
Mashujaa Day.
What's happening from your end of things?
From my end of things, I'm just trying to set this background proper to see kosane hewani. But tomorrow being a holiday, we are supposed to be the holiday for the rest of the public, but we do hope to celebrate the holiday with y'all. But looking at Mashujaa Day and what people have, their thoughts in regards to what Mashujaa Day means for them. There's one tweet here. Najita Peter Aminga, he says, is really appreciating Kisii artists who did the Mimi ni Shujaa song. He said, great wording, timeless music, looking forward to seeing all of them perform at the Mashujaa Day celebrations in Kisii. There is another one here by Frida Chalo who says, I can't wait for the presentation part. The cultural dances, the drama is where all the fun is. Let us all watch the developments too, which will be live here at KBC Channel 1. There is also John Kashoka, who says, mimi ni shujaa, yeah? Uwa nalipa rent, na support kazi ya mama mboga, nanunua kwa shop zetu mtaani, na naenda kinyozi loko. Celebrate as a shujaa. Sam, do you celebrate yourself kama shujaa?
Absolutely.
All day, every day.
A charity, love is like charity. It begins with self. So you need to love yourself first. You need to understand that you're worthy. You're intelligent. You is important. Okay?
Yes.
And you are a shujaa.
You are a shujaa in your own space, in your own grand or little ways. It starts with you. And they always say you cannot pour from an empty cup.
It's true.
You cannot spread love if you do not love yourself. You cannot celebrate others if you are incapable of celebrating yourself. So as we mark Mashujaa Day tomorrow, we look how far we've come as a country, our founding fathers, rightfully so, as the name says, a Shujaa Day. We celebrate them and also remember to celebrate yourself, especially having been through this pandemic, all that we have been through as a global population. I feel we have so much to be grateful for. As a people, we have lost so much in different spaces. Different people have lost so much in their own ways. But at the end of the day, you are still here. You have emerged on the other end of this pandemic. So that is something you should celebrate yourself for. If you can't really find something worth celebrating.
Yeah, like right now I'm celebrating that neck piece you have. It's really amazing.
Inaweza?
Kabisa. Kabisa. There you go. Okay, sir. Tone down. Calm down now. Let's go to Ray. Ray, you were saying something earlier. You were miming.
Yeah, I was miming just as you were a few hours ago. But yeah, that's how tech is. Yeah, so just saying, you just don't jinx our Shujaa Day tomorrow by saying, So we just hope that our producer doesn't have a change of heart or mind in regard to that issue. But now talking about heroes, how about we talk about unsung heroes? When Kenya confirmed its first case of COVID-19, different sectors decided that they're going to be clapping early, at least by midday, to just, appreciate our frontline workers. But over the last 6-7 months or so, this has become, something in which it was just hyped. we no longer do so. We've had our frontline workers saying that they're not so sure about their safety as they continue to serve Kenyans. You know, matters of health at the forefront. So talking about Shujaas, I'm looking at nurses. Those happen to be my category of, heroes, nurses, doctors. You know, these are people who are working around the clock with this pandemic that, has taken the world by storm. Looking at right now, we have millions of people across the globe who have contracted this virus. Kenya, as far as the Ministry of Health is concerned, we are now being hit by the second wave. For me, the doctors and the nurses are our heroes this year because they've had to step up. We've never dealt with, this is our first pandemic, at least this generation. The last time we talked about pandemics and such was the Spanish flu, but it never got to Africa. So this is a new first, and they've had to step up from all levels. So I celebrate doctors and nurses out there and those who are training in this medical field. Just know that whatever it is that you're doing is saving a life. More than ever, we are watching you, and for as long as you remain safe and healthy, then the safety and the health of the nation indeed is secure. Though us as Wananchi and Wanjiko are failing, and if I can borrow from Cabinet Secretary of Health Mutahi Kagwe's speech yesterday at Afya House, saying that he blames politicians for, what we are experiencing. The second wave is that Kenyans are emulating, or rather Wanjiko is emulating what the political class is doing. And that in the last few weeks we have seen, political gatherings of such where there's no social distancing, let alone masked. People are touching, people are hugging, against all the health protocols that have been laid to ground. Now, but on an individual level, I also want to borrow from our viewer who said that he's celebrating himself. Indeed, I'm a taxpayer, and I'm celebrating myself as a Shujaa. I mean, paying those taxes is not easy. There's a PYE for those who are in informal employment, and also all those, the VAT, the milk, everything that costs VAT. Remember, government does not have its own money. It gets its money from payee as well as VAT. So I tend to think each and every Kenyan, the 47 million of us, are Shujaas in one way or another. And also talking about those people who are doubling up as mothers and fathers. Those are the single parents. Wearing that hat does not come easy. So as far as I'm concerned, you're a hero too. And above all, I always say this, I don't know if you enjoy country music, Sam, I don't know about you, but there's a line that goes, when mama prays, mountain moves. So my mom will always remain my hero. That woman has taught me what it is to be a woman, and I continue praying for her in terms of health and wisdom as she grows every day, better to challenge me and our siblings. So that's my list of Shujaas. I don't know about you, Sam.
The only thing that is lacking from what Regina has said is fellow Kenyans pale juu. Na God bless Kenya. Akimalizia. That was an entire speech.
God bless you.
Like God bless Kenya pale chini na hapa juu fellow Kenyans. Hiyo tu ndio ilikuwa imelak, by the way. It was quite the speech. Congratulations, Regina.
Thank you very much.
Your heart has been quite, whew.
But ain't it true?
Made light.
Yes. When you're given an opportunity, you run with it.
To make you feel.
Me feel, eh?
Manze.
Practice when I was off, I was practicing.
Oh, lisikia wapi practice kitu gani? Practice kitu gani?
Hey man, you can't done my child. You can't done my child like that.
No, I can't. This is Regina.
You refuse to can.
There she goes. Yeah. So it will also be interesting to see what will come forth in terms of entertainment from Kisii. Remember, there was once an event, I think it was in Nyeri. It was Madaraka Day, some time ago. I think the very first to be marked in a county. And at some point, people felt it was less of a national event and more of a cultural one, because they felt like the Kikuyu culture took center stage back then. A lot of amendments have happened since then, and tomorrow it will be interesting to see the quality of entertainment that will be coming forth from Kisii. We'll be getting to see some of the memes that definitely zitagonga social media in the course of tomorrow all the way throughout this week. A little bit of a punchline here, punchline there, you know, also the political satire that could come forth from Kisii. These are issues that we are looking forward to. But most importantly, the presidential address, what exactly will it be touching on at a time when the country has seen quite some trying times owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. But also remember, just recently, we've had people who have lost their lives courtesy of political skirmishes. We've had the revamping or the reintroduction of the Public Order Act just to try and tone down the political temperatures in the country. These are some of the issues that could make way into the presidential speech tomorrow. We will be covering that in earnest right here at KBC Channel 1. Ama namna gani, Jane?
Namna hiyo. And in light of, you know, just Regina celebrating our medics, there's also a tweet here by Abby Zuena who says, I am praying for all medics who are fighting for others, sometimes a little bit too much than that they forget to take their breath. God bless you.
Really kind of music, you know. So that's also going to come out there. But at the end of the day, Gusii land is rich in culture as well as food. So anyone who's going to be going down to Kisii, just Keroka Market there, where we do not know if it's in Kisii or not, you can pick a few sugarcane there. You can pick the avocados as well as the banana. Tunaita mandis. Kina Mogako atakuulizia mandis na avocado. So much is going to be happening in Kisii County. And if I can borrow from what the Interior Cabinet Secretary there, Fred Matiang'i, said, that this feat is open for all. So no one is going to be locked out. So kina Mogaka.
But they might be locked out. They may be locked out. Or they might be locked out owing to the COVID-19 situation in the country. I mean, only 3,000 people will be allowed in.
But the rest we're going to be televising.
Yeah, it will be televised, so it's open to all in that regard. But also, protocol is very, very key.
Absolutely.
In terms of making sure that we protect ourselves and we contain the spread of COVID-19 right here in the country.
Now, speaking of which, is that as we keep promising that KBC is a home of sports, sporting action. So we have been televising the CAF Championship League, and the semi-finals began yesterday, and we televised this particular game between Zamalek. You can get a recap on our website. Now tonight as well as tomorrow, we're going to be televising another match also, that is between Bakan and Hassanaya, so kindly 10 p.m. This is a place to be. Soccer lovers, football lovers, this is about Africa, and KBC Channel 1 is going to be bringing you live these matches come 10 p.m. So we're keeping you, comfortable as we work towards countdown towards Mashujaa Day. How about to do it the sporting way? Watch soccer.
And you know what?
Blow by blow.
Please tell your lovers and friends that Jane, Sam and Ray are going to do it again all over tomorrow in the morning, right guys?
Oh yes.
Yes, so we're going to be doing that. Thank you so much for watching Good Morning Kenya this Monday. My name is Samuel Njoroge. You're all heroes in your own right. Celebrate yourself tomorrow and look forward to a bright future, okay? It all begins with you. Make it count. Have a good morning and enjoy your Monday.